Hey, what's up guys, Will here for GSM Arena. The Redmi Note lineup is one of Xiaomi's more popular ones, known to offer a ton of bang for your buck. Now its 9th generation is here, and it includes the Redmi Note 9 Pro. It looks like a solid mid-ranger for a pretty low price. Let's see what it's all about in our full review. We have here the Redmi Note 9 Pro, which is the global version of the phone. It's pretty much the same as the India-only Redmi Note 9 Pro Max, except for a different 16-megapixel selfie cam. The Note 9 Pro's looks are similar to many popular phones we've seen lately. It has a sleek-looking glass build. Our interstellar gray finish is quite glossy and mirror-like, and matches the frame nicely. The frame here isn't from aluminum, but matte plastic. It does give you some extra grip, and is resistant to smudges. Overall, the build feels solid, though as you might expect, it doesn't offer any real waterproofing, though its internals do have a sort of water-resistant coating. On the front is a 6.67-inch IPS LCD panel with a 1080p resolution and a standard 60Hz refresh rate. It's protected by Gorilla Glass 5 and has a punch hole cut out at the top for the selfie camera. Like we've seen on many LCDs with a punch hole, this one has uneven backlighting around it, which you'll notice when there's a bright enough background. Still, this screen is quite nice. Sharpness is good, and contrast is decent for an LCD. Max brightness is good too, up to 460 nits with the slider, and up to around 610 nits in auto mode, in bright conditions. Color accuracy is superb if you tweak the colors and settings, and you have HDR10 support too. It can only stream SD content from services like Netflix though, due to only supporting level 1 of Widevine's DRM. For your audio, the Redmi Note 9 Pro has a single bottom-firing loudspeaker. It posted an average result in our loudness test, and quality-wise is just average as well. Vocals sound decent, but you're not getting much when it comes to bass.
I'm wide awake, but you're a nightmare. I can't escape.
You do get a traditional headphone jack here. Nice for plugging in standard headphones without a hassle, and there's support for FM radio too. Above the screen, there is a white notification LED that will let you know if you should check your phone. And waking up and unlocking the Redmi Note 9 Pro is quite easy with the fingerprint reader located on the side power button. It's always on, fast, and accurate. The storage situation is decent here. You have options for 64 or 128 gigs of onboard storage, and it is expandable through microSD. Let's quickly go over the interface. It's the latest MIUI 11 based on Android 10. It's pretty standard for what you might be used to from Xiaomi, though it has been refined from previous generations. Google's apps provide a lot of functions here, though there is a proprietary gallery, music, and video player. Since there's no app drawer, you'll have to keep your apps on the home screen. Some versions of MIUI 11 have the option to enable the app drawer, but our global version didn't have it. You get NFC support here, if you need that for contactless payments or connectivity. And there is a feature you'll find that's rather uncommon, an IR blaster. With this, you can control certain appliances with the phone. And there's Game Turbo, which acts as a hub for all of your games, and provides plenty of options for customizing your gaming experience. Powering all of these features is a Snapdragon 720G chipset. It's a solid mid-range chip, and performance is great. In benchmarks, it's quite strong, only really bested by Huawei's Kirin A10 in this class. Heavy games run great, but it's not just about gaming. You get a fast and breezy experience through and through. And you'll be able to game for a long time too, or anything else you want to do. The phone's 5020 mAh battery scored an outstanding rating of 123 hours in our battery life tests. Impressive. And filling up that large battery is no problem either. The bundled 30-watt charger is able to recharge the phone from 0 to 63% in just half an hour. On the back of the Redmi Note 9 Pro is a quad camera setup. There's a 64-megapixel quad-Bayer main camera, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide, a 5-megapixel macro cam, and a depth sensor. Shots from the main cam come out in 16 megapixels, and they are excellent for the class. There's plenty of resolve detail, accurate colors, low noise, and wide dynamic range. These are certainly great photos for this price point. There is a standalone 64-megapixel mode, but what you get looks like something upscaled from 16 megapixels and sharpened. There's no benefit here except for a minor gain in detail, and the file size is huge. There's a 2x zoom on the viewfinder, but this is just a digital crop from the main cam's 16 megapixel photos with some loss in detail. Portraits are taken with the main camera with the help of the 2-megapixel depth sensor. You need a lot of light to get a decent photo here, but if you do, these are very nice, with good detail and convincing subject separation. The 8-megapixel ultra-wide camera shoots some very good photos. There's enough detail, great contrast, and above-average dynamic range. The distortion correction does a nice job around the corners, and overall we are happy with this camera. Now onto the 5-megapixel macro camera. The close-ups here are great. They're detailed and sharp, with little noise. Plus, since there's autofocus, getting a sharp image is a piece of cake. In low light, the Redmi Note 9 Pro shoots acceptable photos, and that's probably the best we can say. There's enough detail for this class, and color saturation is very good, but there's plenty of noise. Night mode is something you should use often. The exposure is improved, and you get more detail in shadows and restored highlights. Plus, these shots are quick, taking less than 2 seconds. You do get a bit less detail, but the results are worth it in terms of exposure and dynamic range. Nighttime photos from the ultra-wide-angle camera are barely usable, if at all. They're lacking in detail big time, pretty dark, and the smeared noise ruins the whole image. Plus, there's no night mode support here. Now on to selfies taken with the 16-megapixel front-facing camera. These are not that sharp, but still they're decent, with good colors and contrast, and great dynamic range with HDR engaged. Videos can be captured with the main camera in up to 4K at 30 FPS. They have good colors, contrast, and dynamic range, as well as low noise. The detail level is somewhat average though. The ultra-wide camera shoots in 1080p, and we like these videos. They're sharp, with good colors and contrast. Electronic stabilization is only available when shooting in 1080p at 30 FPS with either camera. It does a great job at smoothing things out, at the cost of a bit of a cropped view. So that's the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9 Pro. You get a premium looking glass build, a large and bright LCD screen, a competitive chipset, a nice and versatile camera setup, and awesome battery life paired with fast charging, all for a bargain price, just 270 euros at launch. So then what is there to complain about? Not a whole lot, to be honest. There is uneven backlighting around the notch cutout, which might annoy some people. And you only get a standard 60Hz refresh rate, while Realme offers 90Hz at this price. But these are pretty much just nitpicks. The Redmi Note 9 Pro ticks all of the boxes feature-wise for its class, and even competes on some levels with much more expensive devices. It's a great deal, and it's definitely worth a recommendation. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and see you on the next one.